That's 6 acres, I know that.
Yeah.
We tore out all the trees.
Yeah.
But then we sold the house and sold the 2 acres.
Unbanked, I'll give you an update.
And we'll keep the grass.
We ready to go to work? We will call the Grant County Drainage Board to order May 10th, noting that 3 of 5 members are present. Mr. Cox, Mr. Pinkerton are not with us today. Mr. Cates, Mr. Goff, and myself, we do have quorum. And so we will move forward to approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Cates, second, Mr. Goff. Any discussion, questions, comments, or editorial changes? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried 3-0. Yes, sir. Right. Jim, long list of claims today.
Chronicle Tribune, $22.78 on Pipe Creek, $152,000 in the fund. Cook Excavating, $3,875 on Pipe Creek. Again, there's $152,000 in the fund. And this was log jam removal.
There's two of them, there's Mormon Farm and Dill.
Mormon Farm and the Dill Farm. He's working his way towards Mirrortown. There's more to do.
That's it.
That's it for today. There's a lot more bills coming in.
He made a motion to approve.
Second. Since it dries up.
Second.
Gordon has made a second. Any other discussion or questions on these Pipe Creek items? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried 3-0. Under old business, we have Hummel Creek. We don't have any updates on that, do we?
Looks the same.
Still waiting on Mr. Leone to follow up with us on damages. Little Crane Pond, still in the hands of attorneys. So our ordinance, we do have a couple of folks evidently that want to speak today. We will, since it's a closed matter with us, we will have 5 minutes for Don and 5 minutes for Dave. And from this point on, we won't be addressing it unless we get something back from the APC about it, because we've already set our standards. So, Don, if you want to come up and share with us?
I want to thank you for the opportunity to address the Drainage Board. I have received a copy of the solar ordinance. I've read it, studied it, and the ordinance has been written or developed and approved by the area plans. The ordinance focused primarily on those segments of it that pertain to agricultural farmland and farm drainage. And I feel there's, those segments are quite ambiguous and fall way short of what we need to protect our farm drainage and tile drainage in our land. Just for instance, on page 4, B5, the generalized description of soil types and whether the soils are considered prime for agricultural crop production. This really is quite ambiguous. Who's determining this? What does prime mean? Go on to page 4, B6, G, the drainage plan developed by the applicant. The clauses do not give adequate protection for the main outlets of neighboring lands across the solar farm sites and subsurface drainage. And since the applicant is writing the drainage plan, it sounds like a box garden, the hen house to me. Page 5, E.G., the criteria for special use. The benefits of the solar farm to the community and as a whole outweigh the removal of the acreage used for the solar farm for agricultural production. Who is determining that criteria, whether it's better for the solar farm or for agriculture production? I think that leaves some voids there. You move on to page 8, B2, the drainage plan improvement for the location permit. The plan needs to protect neighboring land, outlet tiles, and subsurface tile drainage that extends on to neighboring land. Page 10, C2A, the underground cabling. I think it states that it needs to be 60 inches. Anyway, the depth in the ordinance will completely destroy any field tile that where that cabling goes into the ground. The page 11 on M, damage and repair, it addresses current situations. We need to be sure that we have future ability and access to maintain and repair our field tiles. In page 13C, again on drainage, referring to a drainage plan. I don't know if these plans have been written or going to be written, or is a responsibility of the drainage board. That leaves some question there. I think it's been suggested by that some type of an easement be granted to neighboring landowners for areas that go across solar farm sites. I think that's a good idea. I think at a bare minimum, there should be be written into the ordinance the provisions for an easement over the main tile outlets on the solar farm site to give neighboring farm landowners access to maintain and repair drain outlets. An easement without solar panels on it, so that you have access to get in there into the future to repair blowouts, to put in new tile lines and so forth. As an example, I own a farm on 600 South. There's 42 acres on the south side of Little Deer Creek. Across the road to the north, the Goffs own land. I remember as a young boy, my grandfather, Swain, and Gordon and Trone's dad, Roy Goff, I remember out there helping them put a main outlet across that 42 acres so that they would have an outlet to drain their land on the south side of 800 South. Now, that is not a legal drain. It's a main outlet for their land. It needs to be protected, and I have other of my farms go across neighboring land with a main outlet to an open ditch. I have other neighbors that have land or have main outlets going across my land. So if a solar farm site would come in there, it won't happen on my watch, but in this particular case, if they wanted to put a solar farm in that 42 acres, I won't own it forever, but the Gulfs would not be protected to have an outlet, to have an easement to go across there to repair that. So I think that needs to be addressed. I think the Drainage Board needs to be proactive in protecting the integrity of our tile drainage in the county if a solar farm site becomes a reality. I think the leadership of Grant County, and this includes the Drainage Board, should do everything possible to discourage and stop solar farms from coming into Grant County. Solar farms on good, productive farmland is a terrible stewardship of our resources that we've been entrusted with. So, and I think the leadership of the county should think very seriously about the kind of legacy they want to leave the citizens of Grant County. And the ordinance needs to be strengthened regarding protecting our farm drainage, but I think more importantly, we just need to stop solar farms from coming into the county. Thank you.
Don, I appreciate your comments because I think you've hit some interesting points. Is there a way that you can, I tried to write it down quickly, but could you get us a copy of those points of concern? I can also tell you that the language that this board sent did not, it was actually taken out of the draft that we had sent their way. I'm going to pretty much tell you that's coming back with protections because that was entirely eliminated from this last draft. So there will be a segment that speaks specifically to protections on the drainage situation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I have no problem with solar panels on structures, on houses. I think they're ugly and look terrible, but if people want them, they should have that right. But I think putting it on good, productive farmland is a terrible stewardship of our land.
Yeah, we're aware of it, like I say, and I've got others, and Kenny, we've talked about it, but you can't, an absentee landlord could want the money and you've got no recourse. We're aware of this, so we need to protect it.
Yeah.
And you got a good point about these private tiles going across that. It's gonna take the landowners telling us where the tile is, and then, yeah, we could make them agree to a mutual easement that goes across there to protect that.
Well, this is
landowners being blocked.
example of ours and Gulf's main outlet going across my land. That's not a legal drain.
No, but it needs protected.
When I acquired the farm, I didn't find any map that showed that. I don't know if the Gulfs have a map, a tile map that shows that. I question it, but it's a big tile. I remember as a kid putting that in, helping Roy and my grandfather put that in. It's a huge tile, and it's had blowouts through the years. It's been repaired, and it's going to happen again in the future. And if you got solar panels laying on there, there's no way you can get to it to protect your main outlet. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dave, you're next.
Well, my comments are gonna sound very similar. I don't have the same, all the stuff written down that he did, but, and it sounds like you guys are kind of on the same path to protect these mains. They've got to be protected. They've got to be recognized. It would be some chore to try to mark them all out and lay them all out and show you where all of them are, because some of them we don't know till we have a problem. And that's, I'm not making light of that, that's just the way it is. They're there, they work, but, to try to put them all on a map would be pretty time consuming. But, I just want to express my concern. Thank you for the opportunity to do that, and, it sounds like you guys are on the right track to get something language-wise put back into this that, makes sense. There's a lot of money that's been invested over the years in tile, as you know, and, we just can't write it off because somebody wants to put solar out there.
There's a lot of these that's 100 years old,
Absolutely, yes.
you know, and problem is they don't go straight. So, you know, it's.
Yep, we've all got them that cross somebody else that, and it's a big issue, and I think it really needs to be an important, get some good language in there to protect that investment that we've all made, or our grandfathers or great-grandfathers have made, because we still benefit from that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we still got the chaining ordinance on our old business. We haven't taken any action on that. Have you been able to look at that ordinance any further? Does it say what we needed to say right now, Gordon?
Well, I'm not sure, you know, some things are ambiguous.
Yeah.
And, I know this is the cover letter of Grant County, and it says, please note your drawing, exact location and project. You could bore, plow, open trench, etc. I think
From David needs to take that plow out.
Right,
Yeah.
and I know he wants bore on anytime he don't want to cut the road, wants to bore. Well, there's a lot of old tile, the old timers put them in the right of way, and if they bore, they're gonna hit them. We're not sure where they're at until they start working. So that's.
They bore it, they hit it, then they're gonna have to cut it anyway.
Yeah, but you don't know until maybe 2 years down the road where the tiles quits working.
Yep.
So we need the bore and the plow needs to be, I don't know, redone so that we get to the intent was to make them know when to cut it and fix it.
All right, we'll work with that, and you can attest to the fact that you got after some guys that had a plow out there, and they said, we know we can't use it.
Yeah, I just checked on it, and there was all kinds of trucks, and the guy I gave him the charge, he gave me his card, he said, I know we can't use it. I said, it scared me when I see it sitting there. That means you're gonna probably use it. No, we got an open bar. So he sounded, he was on, but I don't know how many other people.
Yep. We will keep on top of that as well, so we'll do a little bit more work, and we'll need to work with the highway department and see if they can update this letter along with our ordinance, the way we've got it stated right now. Okay. All right, under new business, we've got Monroe Ditch and Jerry Schultz maintenance issue.
Got some pictures here of the ditch that close to the highway that's in discussion. If you could pass them around, I'd appreciate it. There's 2 sets of them. There's another set. My wife and I bought that property in 1987, December of 87, off the Banner family. The ditch on our side, going south from 18, has been dredged and cleaned 3 times since we've owned the property in 87. To my knowledge, the north side has not been touched since 87. Now, we keep taking my ditch, our ditch, and dredging it deeper and wider to maintain the water, to get rid of the water for the farm ground behind us and what little farm ground we have. But we also put 2 ponds on that property to help get rid of the water problem after we bought the property because it was wet. But on the north side, it's gotta be fixed. I mean, you just can't keep backing water up on our side of the property and not letting it get across 18. It's going across 18, but there's no place for it to go on the other side. There's about a 40 or 50 inch culvert there on the other side that crosses 1100. Goes under 1100, but it lays half full of water half the time, and there's just no place for this water to go. It's gotta be taken care of, maintained the other way. There's been no maintenance money spent on it. And I've been told 3 or 4 times when they're out there working on our property that, oh, we're gonna spend some maintenance money on it, we'll do it this fall. Well, this fall has never came, and
We didn't, I apologize, we didn't make it this fall, but, we're taking quotes on June 14th to do that other half mile north of you that gets you to the Monroe ditch. The problem is, and we approved Mr. Thurman to do $16,000 worth of brushing down at 5 to State Road 18. You've got about 2.5 miles west of him that is flat, that needs dredged. And you do have $209,000 in your maintenance fund. And I looked through the records here real quick. You know, in that whole watershed system, we spent 80-some thousand dollars since 19. But that's been other places, that hadn't helped you. And this was opened up since I became surveyor. It was a tile, and this was all swampland. And the only way to keep it drained is to start dredging north of him. Now, like I've told him, it's never a good idea for me to come up with an idea on how to spend other people's tax money. The most we could do is maybe talk to Thurman. I don't know those guys between 1,000 down there. Nobody's ever requested to be done, but it can be done. And, you know, I could help Mary send a nice letter out to everybody, telling them the need. They'll probably go for it. And then the most we could do is dig yours out in June. And that's gonna upset a couple people that's got some farm ground, but it was on the list to do. It's just, I was actually on the original survey on this, and until you go south of State Road 18, you cannot get the fall that's gonna last to amount to much. That's why it's flat up in here, there's no grade, but we'll try to get an interest and some cooperation to dredge north of you, you know, about 2.5 miles, loops on around, crosses 18. It's gotta go south of 18 a couple thousand feet before you're ever gonna see any really relief, you know.
Is this gonna go under 18?
Yeah, his water goes under 18 right at his property, and that's where we've dredged a few times, but it goes a little short strip, then it crosses the county road, crosses 2 other county roads, and then it crosses 18 again. We need to do all that loop.
Swings back around.
Yeah.
I think that's what, we're talking about this, right here, Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's at his property.
Okay.
Now, if you make the picture smaller, I'll show you where you need to go. And he'd already made the request, it's just because of our workload, we haven't got it done, but June 14th, we're gonna take a bid quote to dig from there to there.
Okay.
And now make the picture smaller and I'll show you how far, that'll give him some relief
can I come around and look
temporarily.
at that?
Yeah,
Sure.
keep going.
Keep going. Okay.
It's gotta go to here, about right here to start.
To the west side of State Road 5.
Right, and south of 18, it's gotta be dredged and brushed all the way to there to give him any relief that'll last. And, you know, you make a request today, then that'll start the ball rolling to see how your neighbors
I know the Pearsons and them have complained about the ditch going through our property several times. And it gets dredged, but then if it doesn't go the other way, there's no reason to keep digging deeper on our side just to, all it is damn water hole.
Sediment holes, all we've done on State Road 18, and
Yeah, it's just junk.
So is it our fault that's our problem, or are we just having a lot of buildup with wood and brush?
the grade's flat until you
Flat.
start down in here. Yeah, it needs brushed, and we just agreed to brush this for Thurman's $16,000. And that'd be, the brush will be out, so that'll make the project less.
Is the tile big enough under 18?
It would be if we could get the water to the bottom of it. You know, the trouble is it's always sitting in dead water.
The state came in a couple of years ago and bought some property off of us on two sides, which two ditches on our property. I'd like to see the change. And they dug down, and I think they went about 30 inches deeper than they need to, so put a cement bottom in it, so it holds water underneath 18. But then it goes, once that fills up, it goes on across the ditch, but on the north side, the ditch on the east side of the property, I think that's the Ira Hans ditch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That has never been touched as long as we've been there, but we never have a water backup problem on any of the property on that side. Very, very, very. But
So part of it is we don't have enough fall.
Right, until you go to that spot that, I remember that's where the other project started a long time ago.
So you don't know what we're talking, how much we gotta take out or anything to do with the shooting talk about.
Right. You know, you being here is gonna generate this work starting, and this is really the first maintenance work for the next season, so you will be at the top of the list. Let me and Mary get a letter out to those landowners that we don't know, tell them about the interest and how the work would proceed this fall through cropland.
the Perry family on that property there that live in Montpelier or someplace. Was that part of the Troyer farm at one time?
I do not know.
Because I think Troyer's, you got an old farmhouse and stuff down the road a ways. And then that field on that side says it belongs to the Perry family, but I don't
So
know.
let's say you're.
I don't know who they are, I just don't.
75 feet on one side, so you're gonna move.
It's just-
50 feet, 52.
It's just devastating.
You need another
I-
75 outside of that.
That water's been backed up and fish out in the yard.
Yeah.
Go try to get the fish back in after the water starts going down and
If you're talking very big, sure,
it's just,
if you do it with the ditch machine, you're.
Oh, you mean when your pond overflows?
water overflows because
But
the
the total easement is too big.
Yeah,
So we just
I think.
Not on
that's
each
how
side.
crazy it is.
Huh?
You gotta be able to work.
would like to see it fixed. I mean, it's just,
So our intention would be to have the Drainage Board Secretary make contact with other landowners,
I'll help her prepare a letter together.
and we'll,
This will generate some response from them, tell them what the plan is and see
How
how.
many landowners would you have down through Raider County?
It's about 2.5 miles.
Yeah, but that doesn't tell how.
Yeah, I just don't know until we look at it. You know, all we were gonna do with this was dig a 2-foot sediment hole where it hits the Monroe. And then take that 2-foot cut and see if we can drain these two roads right here. If we get a cut enough to drain these two roads, it's gonna help him, but that'd be a temporary fix until you go as far as I just talked about. It's all temporary.
You better go upstairs before you leave.
is that, just,
Right here is your place.
okay, and then this is a Bell family. There's a guy who lives there by himself, I believe his wife passed away. He got a modular home there. It goes across 1100 there. And then there's just nothing on the other side of it, just has never been brushed.
And I don't know.
This is a Perry farm, this used to be a Troyer farm. That's why I take that before he passed on. It's probably family members.
Raymond sent him a letter telling him, you know, this is gonna happen. That was a good while back. And we haven't got much
Yeah, but
response.
they
I don't
want
know
to
who
turn it
farmers in Shirley Longhorn.
They want to
out
keep cutting
there.
it, keep pointing down.
I'm not for sure who farms her property.
Rouse Farms,
Or you just be.
this on this side. Right in here.
There will be just a little bit, we're going to have to work in our easement, you know.
All the way to, almost the county line.
1,100,
West side of 69.
where's that 1,000?
So we're talking 2.5 miles, basically.
It'll be an expensive
East of
project,
five,
but we, like I said, we spent about 85,000 since 2019 in this whole system.
Yeah.
Doing drainage.
I must have said,
We've raised it, it's $3 an acre, $10 home side. That's,
What you bring in the year, then. You have that. You have that.
no, Mary's laptop quit working.
What it brings in.
Oh, okay, she's got it here.
All right, in the fall, it brings in about 20, in the spring, about 40.
Yeah, so about $63,000 a year it brings in since we've raised the maintenance. $63,000 a year. That's why we've spent $85,000 in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they,
we've been taking care of, we've been working up on Lozers downstream from you. We did thousands of dollars worth of log jam removal. We fixed their erosion.
I know Jim talked to us about when we were out there dredging it the last time, he said, well, if I have to raise maintenance fee, I said, you need to raise the maintenance fee. I don't have a problem with it, but we need to maintain it and take care of it.
I know, but you gotta get some
Got
money,
this money.
or you get some money coming in, so you work on it.
Yeah.
See, there are
There's
expenditures.
there's money laying there to start.
Yeah, dipping it out on him last time, I think we spent 10,676, but that was just to the 18, that was just making a hole.
Did you go all the way to 100 north? That time, did they go all the way across Pearson's property?
Right, we did. Spent 11,000 out there, Rainier, 21, 14,000, Rag excavating and 20. These are the bigger numbers. 18,000 for Rainier, 19, another 10,000, 19. 19 we spent 14,000.
My question is, are we gonna be able to help him or not?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's so darn flat, you're not gonna be.
It's a temporary fix for a few years and then it silts in again. But with the higher maintenance, it's just something that, like he said, he don't think it's been dredged in 38 years north of 18. We've always just been coming in and working from his place to Jadden to free up the tile in Jadden and for Harry Pearson south of him.
So we have work going north, so we need to do
And
that to
Yeah.
solve his problem.
And now that everybody's paying higher maintenance, maybe I can generate some support and some backing to get that extra about 3 miles dredged.
Yeah.
So we'll start the letter of interest and go from there.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, thanks for your time.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Cates,
Can I mention something about the solar panels real quick? I wasn't on the agenda, but I didn't know they were talking about it, but I see a letter, something in the mail and in the paper about Indiana Wesleyan and Taylor not liking this solar panel proposal that the county put out. My only question is, how much tax revenue does the county get from Taylor University and Indiana Wesleyan to help pay for these changes that they want to make, that they want to dictate to different people, to the taxpayers of Grant County? I don't think that's a fair assessment for presidents of those two universities to stick their nose in the county taxpayers' business. That's all I gotta say.
Good point.
All right, we're ready to find out what Wendell needs at Glendale Lake.
I think I need Mr. Barsley to move back to Glendale. That's what I need.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Mrs. Margin likes where she's at.
We have a very large dam in Glendale, and.
You gonna pick on those beavers? Is that what you want?
Yeah, I need you to talk to him.
I need to call you later.
But I didn't know what is legal. I have not went out and talked to the airport to see if they would let us move somebody like Dave's excavating or John in with a large excavator to try to reach out halfway and break it, but in the past, breaking it don't fix it. Because most generally the beavers are built right back. But I guess, what do you know that we can do? I assume we can't trap until November.
I thought that the lake itself was actually not a part of our,
It's not a part of our easement,
yeah.
but, they're not on endangered species list, that you're allowed to tear their dams out.
You
You
gotta
can
get.
kill them on your property without a permit. You can't harvest the furs. Or you can get a nuisance trapper that can take them anytime. You've done that on Grassy Fork.
Yeah.
And he can't harvest the furs either. But the airport does own out into the lake some,
Yeah,
on their side.
Airport owns into the lake, and then the association would have to give you permission as well, I think.
Who is the association, or who is the?
I've been gone 2 years from there, so I'm not sure who's the president right now. It used to be Tom Sloan. I don't know if you know Tom or not.
No.
But he used to be the president out there.
Somebody told me they didn't think they were working at the dam itself, on the old concrete dam that they had moved. They apparently moved into the pond farther, or
They're over halfway back.
okay.
Wow.
I got pictures I can show you afterwards. But, yeah, there's a little white building out back of one of the houses.
Mhm.
They're at that white building.
Really? They really have moved back then.
Yeah, there's a creek coming in from the
West.
southwest,
Yeah.
and they're right there where it enters. They've got it stopped. I just need you to change their dam a little bit so it'll release the creek.
It seemed like at one point, we were gonna help them, whatever that creek was, just to the
Dry Fork.
Dry Fork, okay? We were gonna actually dig out
We did,
a silt trap or something,
we did, just to the end of our easement.
but
That's all we could do. That came out of the general drain improvement
I wanna
fund.
say that's a little bit further east, where the beaver are.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Um,
And they've turned down maintenance. The Dry Fork's not on maintenance. The Carries take care of it, a lot on the end, and Shin.
I think if you get permission from the airport and the homeowners association, you pretty much have free hand to catch some beavers.
Do they have a subdivision association fund out there where they need to hire the nuisance trapper or the airport if they?
Yeah,
have
technically, I
concern?
think, when were there, I think it was $100 a year. They're collecting stuff. I don't know what they're doing with it, but they're collecting.
Okay, so I'll get with you afterwards. You give me a name.
I'll see if I can pull something out of my contacts, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the nuisance trapper can trap at any time, and, I had Grassy Fork, and they're pretty good. But you gotta give all of them, if you leave them, they build them right back, they tear it out.
The way the population's growing, it's really bad for Grant County. I mean, if they got a ditch, they use corn stalks to build their dam. If they don't have willows or there's no trees in that
Well, but
area.
it had to take them an awful long time to build that thing across.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go to other business that Jim had for us, came in, 13th and Buffalo.
Yeah, Andrew King here is here today to talk about putting in a tile along the railroad easement for Teresa Parnell. And this is part of that Crane Pond system. She's never had drainage for quite some time. There is a county branch inlet that is just a little too high, apparently, to get in for them to have good drainage. I think when the factory went across the road, I think there was an old private tile that apparently got cut, is what you've determined.
Yes.
But this is their only answer to get any kind of relief for that property. And you got a picture of it there, Mark, if you want. I can share this with Gordon if you and Kenny will look at that one. The red line is what the new tile needs to go into their property. They're just, they're in a low area with nowhere for the water to go.
That's New York.
So where are they gonna put the tile?
Here's our big 30-inch tile going down to Lomax. He'd put a tile in here, and they've got the railroad approval to go to the easement and tap in right here. See, there's a branch tile that comes down here with an inlet right here, but it's just too high.
So how many feet are talking?
Do you have a footage figure? I don't.
But is
Yes.
your size,
8-inch, about 2,100 feet. Right along the railroad right away.
And what we're doing today is the drainage board is giving them permission to tap in
at their expense?
at their expense. The maintenance fund can help pay for the tap-in material and the work done at the tap-in.
I have some pictures on my phone that you took this morning that might help visualize.
Okay, show it to Chairman. I've seen it underwater.
This is the railroad right away standing on 16, looking north through here.
16th and North, okay.
Okay? If you go all the way to the end, down here when you get to, look north, right here. I stand and look back to the east right here. We're standing right here on the railroad tracks.
So you're looking east.
Now I'm looking east, there's the culvert, there's the riser.
That goes through Old Mountain.
And I'm turning around looking west, so I'm looking back this way west. And that's the road that curves around.
And Wendell has a key to this gate, and he keeps this easement mowed to keep the roots out. The picture just showed.
Yeah, that right there, window.
And you know, you wouldn't have to tap into this manhole. You know, if it was on that side, it was easier, you could tap in somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from or goes, so that's why I was just, as I look down the manhole, you see, it's steel.
And it's going
Crazy what you
straight,
can see, there's water at the bottom, but
it's
flowing.
going straight to that grass strip.
Oh, wow. Yes, that's the grass. Down the railroad right away. As I look north, about to lead into the Parnell's property. That's right. Turn around the same property, I'm looking south.
So that's going
But
toward.
this tree area along the side of the. There's a tree. Yes.
This is a platted road, it's never been vacated, but.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
I understand you're actually gonna be working in a railroad's easement just a little bit.
No, from the center line of the railroad, off 15 feet, they say don't touch it. So we're gonna go 20 feet.
Okay.
Here's the picture that the railroad sent me,
There you go.
and they told me this is their, that belongs to them. We can go on 15 feet from the center over is where we're allowed to be. And the road is still here. This is the road.
The county has 50 foot here that they own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the county
I would
wants
say-
it.
If Alabama was gonna go, so my proposal is, if they say 15 feet is where they are, we're gonna go another 5 feet or 10. So we're just on the west edge of the Alabama right away.
Well, not only, I think that we need to give you the thumbs up on this, but I think Highway needs to know that we're gonna be working in their right of way. Because technically that'd be their right of way, right?
Yeah, it's never been vacated.
So it's not been vacated, technically, that he still needs to give it approval.
Do you talk to David White any?
Not for years, yeah, have not. The purpose is this area here is where the water collects. And so we're gonna send it north in 8-inch tile. And through the trees though, it's gonna be solid. Otherwise tree roots are gonna go in there and close it up.
And I'll call David and give him a heads up if that's okay, Mark.
Yeah.
Tell him what's gonna be done. I couldn't see him objecting.
There is no plan, and it might be even nice to push his button and say, don't you think it's time to vacate that?
Yeah,
That way, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it goes basically right to that, where that tile is, that big opening, and it's no longer there, I don't think, the way it looks on the
When you
plan.
vacate, who then becomes the owner?
I think it goes back to the original landowner, whoever is
It'd be kayak.
adjacent to
Like down the
that.
river rapids.
So,
That would be part of
I
our
bet you
resume,
vetoed that idea.
Yeah,
other
you would.
people behind us.
You have to get permission to go that way.
So you need permission.
But right now, we just need the okay from the highway department.
yeah. We would-
They're not
And
objecting
bell
to it.
tile, seal, or, well, Wendell will tell you, we done it there in Swayze, there, at your grandpa's place. Come through Nestor's there,
Yes.
back there, and then 12 years. It bell tile with an O-ring on it.
Kept the roots from
Had
coming
roots
in, still have roots in it.
But Nestor's old lady won't let them take the trees up.
So how do you keep the roots out? If the,
Talk to the man right there.
okay.
We had.
Sometimes once the
we had
paper isn't good, but what
Monticello.
really happens is.
We had
Yeah, if
Monticello
we
outside
vacate, it goes to the
there with-
Parnells and to the Burrs.
Burrs is Kathy,
What'd you get signed up for?
Kathy Simmons.
Catherine and Francis Burr and the Patrick and Teresa Parnell. If we vacated, that's what we go to.
Okay. Yeah, I've not talked to Bruce, I know you and I talked about it, I think, about me talking to them, but I haven't talked to them yet. Because we think that we're gonna have to take out like 2 trees maybe, 2 trees. I know it looks like there's trees over it, but they're all way farther back. There's really quite a good space there. Until you get to the very end, there's a close tree and then one I'm sure we'll have to get.
So we would need a motion to allow them to tap in to our existing line and also get permission from highway to work in their easement.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Goff made the motion, Mr. Cates seconded it. Any other discussion or questions?
It's their expense.
At their expense, yes. That's correct.
Okay, make sure we don't give ourselves hindered.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried.
You got our permission. You got to get the other.
As soon as I get back to the office, I'll call David White, and even if I don't talk to him today, I'll give him the message, well,
Okay,
Well, you
How
thank
did you get the railroad to cooperate with you? Because they don't generally cooperate.
Oh,
How'd you do that?
It took a lot of phone.
what was that? The railroad?
You got them cooperating.
The railroad? I know, it was strange, but I finally kept calling until I found somebody that could actually do something. So,
last time I tried it, I talked to 4 different people, and they didn't call
Well,
me
you might want
back.
to talk to this lady, she was very nice, she was really very nice.
She won't be with them very long.
Yeah, no, probably.
Put all that more on service.
All right, any other business, sir? Any other business, gentlemen? All right, I see Ryan's listening in, but I don't see anybody else that needs to pipe in on the line.
I think that,
The only thing you, maybe Ryan don't know, but that, was in the paper this morning.
Yes, he actually texted me while we were talking and said, did you see this in the paper about the racetrack or the horse track? They put a
No, I
note-
didn't see it.
They put a notice in that they were willing to cooperate and do the right thing.
I think the solar, we've heard, and we've heard before, everybody concerned, the private tile.
Yeah.
Because if I owned a piece, and say I wouldn't give permission, but somebody did, the private tiles wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a big concern with
If
that.
you're going
Somebody's
through
still
it, then
gonna-
it's coming to you.
We need that in there so we could give that easement, but somebody's still gotta know physically where that tile is. I have enough trouble finding the county tiles.
Yeah, oh, that's right, yeah.
And again, it's going to be
I've walked a lot
stated
of
in the ordinance, but in the economic development package, there has to be the acknowledgement and contract that says, you hit a line, you've got to fix it, you've got to not only restore it or make it better than it was. Because we know ultimately, frankly, one of the farms that we've already dealt with, solar farms, has hit our badly out.
Yeah,
And we knew we had problems
yeah.
with that.
So
So,
two cables right through it.
yeah, so
That was concrete. There should have been some kind of sign there that you're
we know
digging
that
something
we have
hard.
to hold their feet to the fire.
Until you get the size of a
On that, so-
Volkswagen hole.
All right, so we're ready for the Gene Johnson.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Kenny made the motion to adjourn, Gordon seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and Gene Johnson looking down going, you guys took your time today.
Now, next meeting I'll be on the website.
Okay, not a problem.
I'll be here.
Yeah, they could,
Weather.
Okay.